Hello everybody, welcome back. I am Synthetic Frost, and today we're doing part 2 of my new series, How to Play Elite Dangerous. In the first part, we covered the HUD, and all we did was stay in the hangar the entire time. It was very boring, wasn't it? Yeah, I know. I got your messages, I got your emails, it was very boring. So, today we are going to be doing piloting. Much more exciting, if you ask me, I mean. So, let's get right into it. Let's just go ahead and launch. Oh, here we go. We got our pre-flight checkup that I mentioned earlier. So we have to do all of these. And all this stuff. Thrust left, thrust down, throttle up, throttle down, landing gear, and UI focus. There we go. We are ready to go. Oh, right. Now, if you'll see, we are in an outpost. So, we have open space. We are in
ship released.
Launch pad 2, it looks like. And we are released, so let's get out of here. Now, we don't just go straight up and over. We use our vertical thrusters since we are in space to go straight up, like a helicopter. Landing gear up.
Landing gear retracted.
And we are gonna go straight this way. Throttle is at roughly 50%. Now, here's what I was talking about with power management yesterday. If I throttle all the way up, so my throttle is 100%, but you'll see my throttle doesn't go all the way up the bar. On the right-hand side of the radar there, you see my throttle going up and down. But if I cannibalize power from the weapons, and I'm not using right now, and going all the way up the engine, you see my throttle goes up. And if I hit it one more time, my throttle goes all the way up. Now, let's turn around. Maneuverability is best when you bring your throttle down to the blue area. So whenever you want to make a tight turn, throttle down and get into the blue area there on the throttle. There's the station, the outpost that we were just at. And you can see I'm using my lateral thrusters to go sideways. You can tell by the dust particles that are blazing right past us. So I'm using my lateral and vertical thrusters are incredibly important here. Go up and down. Now, I'll show you why vertical thrust is important. Because you don't come into your landing pad. You do not come into your landing pad straight in like an aircraft. Here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my contacts. And I'm going to request to dock. That is how you land. You cannot land without requesting to dock first. See, it says proceed to landing pad 2. Landing pad 2 is right there, albeit upside down, relative to us. So what I'm going to do, come in, turn around, put my landing gear down, and I'm going to come in like this.
Landing gear deployed.
And you'll see on the radar, when I get close enough down to it, there it goes. You can see how my craft appears on the landing pad. You can come straight down. There you go. We're down. And we have landed. So that's basic taking off and landing. What we're going to do is we're going to launch one more time. Oh, I forgot to turn off the Hopefully flight checks. Forgive me for that. Oh, I can do it multiple times at a time. Okay, that works. Okay, so on the what I'll go is I'll go and turn that off. There we go. Now I want to do it again. So we are taking off.
Engines engaged.
Landing gear up.
Landing gear retracted.
Always remember your landing gear, kids. Your speed is... See, let's say if I turn the landing gear... My landing gear is deploying, but as soon as it's down, which is right now, you'll see that my speed drastically reduces. And my max speed with landing gear down is a fraction of what it is when I bring the landing gear up. Now, see what I'm doing right now is I'm using my downward vertical thruster and pull back on the pitch to bring myself around in a big wide arc. So you can see my contrails of my own ship there. You'll notice that I don't turn anywhere near as quickly at max throttle. So, like I said, you're going to want to bring your throttle down to half. And you'll see I'm spinning around using a combination of my starboard, I think it's starboard, port, no, port's left-handed, so, yeah, port is left-handed, starboard is right-handed, so I'm using my ports, lateral thrusters, and my yaw to circle around the station. And okay, so next up, now you guys have got an idea of why it's important to have vertical thrusters. You can keep your eye on the target at all times. So, with that in mind, I'm going to throttle all the way down here. And I'm going to get away from the station. Let's go reverse thrust. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have zero throttle whatsoever. Now I'm going to turn off flight assist.
Flight assist off.
Now what this means is that as soon as I bring my throttle up just a little bit, and see, now I'm going to bring my throttle all the way back down. My throttle is all the way down at zero throttle, and yet I am still moving forward. See that? And if I give just a touch on the yaw, I'm not touching the yaw right now, but it keeps moving. Your inertia keeps going with flight assist off. So if I were to want to stop, I would actually have to reverse thrust right now to cancel out my existing momentum. You'll see I actually overcompensated a little bit too much because now I'm going backwards just a little bit. And you'll see this is how... See, it's a completely different way of flying because I just barely touch the stick. I'm not even touching any of the controls right now whatsoever, and I'm still being flung from the little bit of thrust that I gave. See, you'll actually see I'm going backwards. You can see the particle effects whizzing by the cockpit of the ship. So if I were to just barely tap the stick here, I don't need to move it at all. I just barely tap the stick. Just barely touch it. There we go. And you'll see that I'm moving that way. So to counter my inertia, I have to give a forward thrust. Forward thrust to make it new. There we go. You'll see now I'm moving forward. And this is a flight mode that's pretty advanced, but it's a good mode to kind of learn because it's something you're going to want to do in combat. And I'll show you guys why in just a second here, as soon as I get a little bit closer to the station. Alright, so you'll see I'm going to throttle it down just a little bit here, kind of cancel out my throttle. See, I'm going up a little bit, so I gotta... Let's see, what I'm going to do is, while I'm going around underneath the station here, I'm going to pull up just a tiny bit. Remember, just a tiny bit of pull on the stick will keep you rolling. Now I'm going to go forward just a little bit, but because I'm not facing perfectly backwards, I'm facing kind of vertically compared to what my momentum is. I'm going downwards now. I'm using my forward throttle to push myself in a circle around the ship, around the outpost. I'm using my forward thrust, not my downward thrust. Or my, if I were to thrust upwards right now, it would just cancel out my momentum. Now it would stop. See? But if I go down just a little bit and then use my pull back on the stick to keep myself facing the station and use my forward thrust, I can maintain a circle around the station. So really it's just maintaining yourself on all 8 axes. You have to kind of be aware not only of where you want to go, but where you are going. That's really the fundamental thing you have to learn with flight assist off. You have to maintain not where you're going. You have to maintain not where you're looking, but where you're going as well. So you have to be kind of aware of 3-dimensional movement. And it's a lot more tricky than that, because if I were to tilt myself like this, then that's going to be a little harder. I have to use my sideways vertical thrust, since I'm going almost backwards now. And forward thrust to slow myself down. The best way to learn how to do this kind of piloting is in an asteroid belt. Actually, there are a couple asteroid belts around here, but you guys have probably already figured out what I'm doing. So I'm going to turn flight assist off. I'm going to come to a complete stop. And let's see. If you guys have any questions or comments about flying or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments bar below, and I will answer them as quickly as possible. Now, let's see. The radar that I mentioned in the last video, you'll see in the center, the bottom center of your screen, you'll see a bunch of dots. Now, right in the center, that stays in the center, that's you. That's yourself. Or me, whatever you want to do. So that's us, basically. And everything that's moving around is another contact on our radar, or our sensors. So every one of those little flashing blocks is another contact. And I can go over here, and you'll notice that there is only 2, the dock and the wake. This is because you'll notice that they're flashing kind of between green and yellow, and that's because they're just kind of out of sensor range. Your sensors have a range on them, and you can upgrade the range with upgrade parts later on. But right now, I believe it's limited to 3 or 4 kilometers, which is not very far. But if I were to get a little closer to one, see if I can find him. See, the 3 that are flashing at the top of the radar, what that means is that they are in front of me and above me. See, if I pull up my stick back, they're going to be right in front of me. There they are. You can see the streamers. You can see them right there. There's one. It's a Navy ship. So when I pull my ship backwards like this, you see their position on the sensors. That means they're below me, and they were behind me. You see how the sensors work? It's pretty easy to understand. See so the other contact on the rear side of the sensors is behind me, directly behind me, and that would be the outpost. But you'll notice that some of them are kind of triangle shaped and some of them are squared. When they're squared, that literally means that they do not have their weapons deployed. When they have triangle top tips, that means that their weapons are deployed. And whenever you see a square or a triangle that's hollow, that's not a solid square, that's kind of like just an outline of a box, that is another player altogether. So whenever you see a hollow box, that is another player, and you're going to want to be aware of them.
Flight assist off.
I always overcompensate when I have flight assist off. Woohoo! See how I kind of maneuvered? Even though my ship was on purpose kind of going haywire there, I purposely moved the sticks so I didn't have a very firm control of the positioning of the ship. I still use my lateral thrusters to maneuver myself through that opening, even with flight assist off. When I turn flight assist back off, or back on, it automatically slows me down. I don't have to move my throttle at all for me to stop. It just automatically corrects my ship. Flying around here, using my forward thrusters. And I'll try to kind of weave in here, using my lateral and vertical thrusters. You see me kind of dive down underneath that before I... That's why vertical thrusters are incredibly important. It's not just forward and back like an aircraft. Going back and down and around. There's a landing pad right there. Flip over and then use my other thruster. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and maneuver my ship, and I'm going to try and do a fluid motion transitioning from... Okay, so let's have throttle up about halfway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to maneuver, keep my momentum, flip over, keep my momentum going this way. See how that worked? See how easy that was? This is the kind of practice for piloting that you're going to want to do. Never, just kind of situational and a conscious awareness of everything that's around you. Kind of memorize where everything is so you don't bump into anything. Just kind of always be aware of the antennas and all that stuff that are around you. Kind of memorize the layout of the outpost and station, and eventually you'll learn to not hit anything. See how I use my thrusters to avoid that thing when I turn there? Anyway, I guess I don't really have anything else to show you guys. I explained the sensors. Oh, you can also use the page up and page down keys to zoom in. But until you have more powerful sensors, that's not really going to be helpful to anybody. But anyway, I hope you guys like this. And we'll come in one more time for landing. Remember, you have to request docking before you land anywhere, or they will shoot you. So we'll come back into the dock here. Landing pad 2. Oh, what do you know? That's right there, right in front of us. Okay, so we're gonna come in. Put our landing gear down. Throttle down. Don't want to overshoot.
Landing gear deployed.
Gonna orient ourselves using our thrusters. And then come down like a little butterfly. See, I was just about on target there. Eventually, you just kind of get a feel for it. Piloting is all about getting a feel for it. I'm actually used to bigger craft, so this thing's a little more maneuverable than I'm used to. But anyway, I hope you guys had a good time learning, good time watching, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye.